Welcome to Sarah Talks Food for the Soul. Today I sit down with Derick Fage. You know him as the exuberant host of Daytime on Rogers here in Ottawa. And this is going to be a side of Derick that you likely haven't seen before. Not long ago, Derick came out on Facebook and he publicly shared his story of a medical condition that he was born with. And today we get really, really personal into that medical condition. We talk a lot about gratitude. We talk a lot about bullying. And we talk a lot about the support system that was in place for Derick to be able to live the life of his dreams and really be able to still go after all of the goals that he had for himself in his life. His word, he is relentless. And I can see that that is true. It was an amazing experience to be able to go to Rogers and sit down on the couch that normally he does the interviewing on and be able to sit on the other side of it and enjoy this conversation with him. He is an inspiration to me. I believe he'll be an inspiration to you. I can't say enough good about this man. Please enjoy this conversation with Derick Fage. Probably, I think about 6-8 months ago, I saw online you share your very personal story. Mm-hmm. And I have to tell you, Derick, that it was an impetus for me to really think about sharing my own story.
Really?
And I definitely think about the saying a lot, our secrets keep us sick. And so when I read your story, I mean, I was blown away. I reread it probably 6 times. Just couldn't believe that you had the guts to be able to just let the world know about your medical condition. So I'm wondering if you can at least share with us, a little bit about that condition today, and then let's talk a little bit about how you handled it in your life and how you've become the person that you are today.
Well, so the medical issue, I was born with it, and it was just one of those things. It's not genetic, it's just bad luck. I think they say it's about 1 in every 6,000 children will be born with it. But there are different types. So I was born with what's called a high and perforate anus, which means I was born without a sphincter muscle. So as soon as I was born, I was basically brought in for immediate surgery. So they actually had to make the opening. And then after the opening was done, I had a colostomy for I think about the first 6 months. I don't remember anything. I always tell my parents that was your problem.
Yeah.
I didn't know, anything going on at that time.
Yeah.
And so that basically meant I was going to be, incontinent for life, unless new technologies and medicine came up. But I've lived with that for 45 years, and that's my reality, really. That's what I tell people. I mean, I don't know any different. I sometimes even think everybody has it, in my mind.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder, can you remember when you first realized that you were different from other kids?
Yeah, it would be elementary school. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not sure, not kindergarten, but certainly grade 1, my parents had to go in and we had to have a meeting. We had to sit down with the principal, we had to sit down with my teachers and sort of explain what the problem was. And at that time I got, my own key. I had the golden key to the staff bathroom.
That's so great. I'm so glad
and
you
it was
did that.
Good. It was certainly good. But that's when I realized, oh wait, I'm not using the same bathroom as these kids. I'm the only one in grade 1 still in diapers. Mm-hmm. That much was obvious. When I changed for gym, I wouldn't change in front of the other kids, so I'd have to change in the bathroom stall instead of out with everybody else. So yeah, that was really the first time I realized, okay, yeah, I'm not the same.
Mm-hmm. I imagine that your parents must have just, first of all, been sort of devastated when they first realized what was going on, but then they must be such a strength for you. The fact that they've had to deal with this issue with you and grow along with you. How has their support and strength, impacted you? Oh,
tremendously. Not, as I said, in those early years, it was harder on them than it was for me. My mom, and dad have told me stories I didn't realize how sick I was until much later on when they started telling me, those first couple of years were, in and out. I had situations where I had to go to emergency. I remember my mom telling me that my grandparents came to visit. They weren't living in Ottawa at the time, and on the flight home, my granny turned to my gramps and said, I don't think we're going to see him again.
Oh my gosh.
That's how bad they thought it was. And my mom was great.
Yeah, I get it.
My dad too.
Yeah.
We had our key words, I just have to, my dad, pretty prominent accountant in Ottawa.
Sure.
With accounting firm just down the road, and he'd be in with a prominent client, and I'd just make the phone call and I'd say, Dad, I've had an accident. It's an emergency, and he would drop everything.
So I hate to, kind of get too personal. When you say had an accident, it's an emergency. Are you saying that there was a medical issue that needed to be?
Yeah, basically, so if I have, I also have a pretty bad stomach to go along with it. So, with the incontinence, any sort of soft stool, you're in trouble. Like diarrhea means some people can hold it maybe for 5 minutes. It's literally 5 seconds for me.
Yep.
So I'd have times, where I'd have an accident at school, and it would be running down my leg. I'd have to tuck my pants into my socks, and no cell phone, so I gotta go use a pay phone. I always had change, and call my dad, and he'd jump in the van, and he always had garbage bags in the car, and so I'd be hiding in the parking lot, and
this is tough
my dad
stuff.
would have the cutouts into the garbage bag, so
Yep.
I'd slide into that, and then he'd take me home, and I'd have a bath, and the next day it was forgotten. Like, I don't know why. When people ask me, I don't know why it was so easily forgotten. I think I just got lucky. I sort of had this defense mechanism that, once one accident was done, it was done. That was a one-time thing, and then you'd go back. And my mom was, her impact was more on the bullying side.
I was going to ask you about how that manifested in your life. Like, what? You talked about it being relentless bullying.
Oh, yeah. To and from school was rough. We lived a fair walk from school, so it was probably about a 20-minute walk to and from school, and you'd get meet up. We lived right by a creek. I was pushed down. Sorry.
No, I want you to take your time.
So pushed down the side of the hill, and yes, walk with my brother sometimes, but as my mom would describe, I was the kid that got distracted with everything. So my brother was like, oh my God, like, we have to get home for lunch. But I'd stop and smell the flowers and, see a butterfly, and off I'd go. So my mom always would say, Rod would have 45 minutes for lunch, I'd have 5 kind of thing. But yeah, I was beaten up. I was picked on. I was called names. I mean, I wore diapers till I was about 13. So, And then, other parents, and I don't blame them, but they try to talk to their kids, because my mom would talk to the parents. So if I was bullied, my mom would come, as I'd say, kick ass and take names. She would come to the school, and
great.
These kids picked on my son, and talk to the principal. And of course, we lived in a pretty close community in Arlington Woods, so my mom knew most of the parents, and if she didn't, she got the names of them, and she'd call, and then, so they'd have that sit down with their kid to explain my problem, thinking that might, fix things. But the more they knew about it, the worse it seemed to get.
Really?
Yeah. Well, kids aren't sympathetic a lot, and that, I think it's getting better. Because
of the awareness?
I just think just with the anti-bullying campaigns and so forth, I think there's a lot more talk about it. Obviously, social media, I'm certainly glad I didn't have Facebook and Twitter and any of that back in my day. But yeah, my parents were absolute rocks. And they didn't, I did everything every other kid did. They didn't, there was no special treatment. I never had any special treatment.
Well, what I love about not maybe having any special treatment is I feel like your parents must have at least encouraged this curiosity that you obviously had of not even being able to walk home without looking at the flowers and the butterflies. Yeah. The fact that you've been able to go on and become an actor, and you're a host of a daytime live television show, you're a producer of that show. How do you think that you found that strength? I mean, do you feel like the medical condition has helped you in some ways to be a stronger person?
Oh, I'm so glad I have it.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I'm grateful, because it shapes who you become.
I love that.
And you become more sympathetic to other people. My mom used to tell me that, I'm not sure if your brother had it, he'd be able to handle it the same way. And I said, no, that's not true. Because if he had it, he wouldn't be who he is.
I agree.
He wouldn't be the Rod Fage that he is today. He'd be, somebody completely different.
Yes.
And I have a very competitive nature about myself.
Do you think that might have come from the bullying?
Well, certainly. I think because you get defensive. So, I was a very defensive person. I certainly went through, you can talk to my family, I had some anger issues, which I think stemmed from that. Which is kind of funny because, I've gotten through those anger issues. So, I don't, I'm a pretty laid back guy. I'm a very positive person. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm really glad I had it. I love what it's done for me.
I love that. I posted something today on Facebook, actually my interview with you here.
Yeah, I saw.
And I talked about that idea that I'm grateful to be an alcoholic. I am grateful for having it. I'm grateful that it allows me to connect with other people in a way that I otherwise wouldn't be able to. And so I totally understand that feeling of being grateful for something that other people would look at and say, oh my gosh, how do you live with that? And how horrible. And I wouldn't want anyone to feel sorry for you or sorry for me. And
no,
so
not at all. Because, and just being with this job, the people that I've met that are going through, like life challenges, like life or death challenges. You meet people that are terminally ill and you sit across from them and how positive they are. And they know that they don't have long to live. It's... boy, that's an eye-opener. And then you're grateful, right? That's my favorite word.
Grateful.
In the English vocabulary is grateful.
How do you practice gratitude?
Enjoying everything I have. I take advantage of everything that, we're not rich people by any means in a monetary sense, but my wife and I are absolutely rich in every other sense of the word. We are really, really lucky. We're fortunate, in my position, we get to do a lot of really neat things that many people don't have the opportunity to do. So I don't take that for granted. I'm really grateful that you're inviting me to the ambassador's house for a lunch. I'm grateful that I get to go to the premiere of a theater production, and meet so many amazing people.
And I feel like that air of gratitude, it just keeps opening up more and more opportunities and more doors for you.
For sure.
I mean, when I think about the fact that you are an actor and, you've done all of these amazing things, I mean, truly, you are an inspiration to so many people. Who inspires you?
Who inspires me? My dad, for sure.
Yeah.
Great guy. I grew up loving sports, a huge sports fan, and I for a long time looked up to sports figures as heroes. And then as I got into my late teens, early 20s, I realized that they're not heroes. They're doing a job, and don't get me wrong, there are some heroes within that because of the great things that they do as people, though, not as athletes. And then I realized that my dad was my hero. He just so respected by everybody that there's not one person that dislikes my dad on the planet. As I said, a prominent figure in Ottawa as a chartered accountant for many years, and every single person, and I worked at my dad's firm for 18 years, which was great, so we got to spend a lot of time together, and every client, I was the receptionist for 13 out of those 18 years, and every client that came, they would talk about my dad, like, not in a professional manner, like, what a great guy.
Yeah. What a feeling.
It is. It's a great feeling.
Oh, it's amazing.
And he's gone through a lot. He was, really shocked because, he's in great shape. He worked out 7 days a week, and everyone would, the family and all our friends and my dad's colleagues would always talk about, wow, your dad is the most in-shape person we've ever met. And he had a heart attack. And he was really upset because he thought everything he's done up until this point was to avoid something like that. And then to have a heart attack, he had a double bypass, and then in recovery he suffered 2 strokes, but they didn't realize it because coming out of surgery you're heavily medicated, so they believe in the recovery room he had his 2 strokes, so he went home without them realizing it, and it was about day 5. My stepmother kept calling them back and saying, he's not recovering at all. Like there's something wrong. I said, well, no, it's probably the medication. And finally, day 5, they said, okay, bring him in. We found out he suffered 2 strokes, and he was just relentless. You know, he went to speech therapy. He started working out again. He had a team of doctors put together. They brought all of us in as a family and to talk about, you know, how the recovery was going to go, what signs that we'll see along the way. And he's completely recovered.
Oh my gosh.
No one would realize that he's had a stroke. Now, we know he has.
Yep.
Like, we see there's small differences in him. But...
And that's okay.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Going
He's the same
through
guy.
something,
Just,
yep.
you know, he's got some different things going on. But again, he's back to working out 7 days a week.
Fantastic.
We call him the Duke of Westboro because he walks everywhere.
Oh, wow.
He's, and he volunteers on the show, so it's kind of cool that, you know, I worked with him all those years, and then we both left the firm within, I think, a year. And to have him being able to come back and
coming full circle.
Yeah. Now he's to work alongside him again is great. We get to go out for lunch again together. It's nice.
You talked about you use the word relentless a lot, and I love that word. It's got a lot of power. That word. I love words, and that one's got a lot of power.
I'm relentless.
You are relentless.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I was relentless as a kid. I took it to heart that I got bullied, and I was going to prove that I mattered. And I love sports, so I might have been the smallest kid, but no one worked harder, I'll tell you.
Did you play sports?
I did, lots. Played competitive squash. I played soccer. I think my best memory is I was the starting quarterback for Ashbury.
Oh, well done.
And that I didn't think was going to happen because the returning the quarterback at the time was coming back for his second year. So when I went out with my dad and I used to practice playing football all the time. He was a great football player, and he wanted to be quarterback, and they would never let him because he was too small, they said. So he played fullback and cornerback. And so when we went out, my dad came to the first practice with me, and, you know, we were just playing around, and the coach was walking around and watching everybody. So they come over and they ask each student what they want to go out for. And I said, wide receiver, because I wanted to play.
Yep.
And I felt that if I went out for quarterback, I'd sit on the bench. And he said, well, I've been watching you and your dad throw the ball around. Why don't you go out for quarterback? And so I explained to him why. And he says, well, try out for quarterback. And if it happens that, you know, you're the second, third string quarterback, then you can play wide receiver too. I was, okay, that
And when
sounds
you're
great.
saying you explained to him why, are you explaining your medical condition?
No,
as to
just
why?
that more because I didn't want to sit on the bench.
Okay.
Because, like, if I was playing, I want to start.
Yep.
I don't want to sit on the bench. So he said, yeah, go ahead and do that. And I think it was the second game at halftime. I went in at quarterback, and I played the rest of the season as the starting quarterback. And my dad was so jealous. He said during
I thought you were going to say so proud, of course.
Oh, he was proud, but he was jealous because he even said his wedding speech, my first marriage. He said he actually said this to everybody. I was 10 times the quarterback you were, but there you went and you made quarterback. And he was. I mean, he was a better athlete. There was no doubt. And I was tiny. I mean, geez, I probably at that time weighed 110 pounds.
Oh my gosh. Well, because I followed your story when you talked about having been 126 pounds, I believe, and your goal was to get to 160.
That's right.
And you started kicking butt and working out with a trainer, and you exceeded your goal within 2 years, within a year, I think.
Yeah, I actually gained 20 pounds within the first 8 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it was all muscle. And then I
sorry to interrupt, was this eating like a specific diet? Was this protein shakes? Was this just working out?
Just working out.
Incredible.
I mean, I've always eaten well.
Yep.
My wife and I, we prepare every meal at home. Yep. We go out enough with events, so we make sure, and we love cooking together.
Yes.
So we eat pretty healthy at home. But no, I went, I met him on the show. His name is George Sabah. He's known as George the Personal Trainer. And after the show, he contacted me and he said, with your body type, I would really love to work with you. I think you'd be surprised what what you can do. And he said, your genetics are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, whatever, okay, George.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I wasn't in great shape at 126 pounds. I didn't work out a lot. My wife and I, canoe and kayaking, that kind of thing. But I did no strength training. So he said, well, I'd like to, start with you, and he wanted to film it all. So we wanted to film sort of the first 6 months, and my friend Todd here at Rogers, he came and he filmed, and we have the entire transformation online.
Oh, cool.
And then I gained the last 10 pounds in, I think, another 8 weeks.
Wow.
And I went from 126 or 129 to I'm just over 160 pounds now.
And feeling better than you ever have?
I'm in better shape than when I was 20 years old.
And do you still follow the same workout plan that he provided you?
Yeah, I'm
Amazing.
Still working out with him.
Oh, fantastic.
He still has stuck with me, and it's 1 hour a week of strength training.
And he comes to your home?
No, I go to his home.
Yeah.
So he's got different equipment in all the rooms. He owns 3 houses on the same street. So one is kind of his workout home.
He's doing well. He's
doing
clearly
good.
doing the right things.
Yeah.
I like this guy.
And we exhaust every muscle. Like, it is painful. I'm not going to lie. I walk out of there. Well, sometimes I don't walk out of there. It's a really.
I've actually heard that's the best kind of workout. If you can't sit on the toilet after you're done, you have not done enough squats.
It's a tough workout. Yeah, we do. I probably do 150 to 200 squats.
Oh my gosh.
With weights.
Wow. In a squat
one
rack.
Workout. Not in a rack, but holding the bar and kettlebell as well.
Yep. And no injuries.
No, I had a bad shoulder for a little bit, but I went to physio and got that fixed up. So for about this is just recently, for 7 weeks I was doing only lower body workouts for an hour. That's the time when I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
But I wanted to keep working out, so we just put aside the upper body.
And so that's it for you now. Now you're on this path, and you're not going to look back, and this is going to be the new body of Derick Fage, and you're going to keep on, building more muscle and pushing forward to stay healthy and fit.
It's the first time I've ever looked in the mirror and I liked my body.
I can understand that.
First time. My wife, she's great. She's always, always nice things to say about, even when I was 129 pounds, it was the same. But she certainly likes the new body.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Looks nice.
But going through that, having that medical problem, it's just, you look in the mirror, and probably because of that, I just didn't like much about my body.
And maybe avoided mirrors a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your intimate relationships. I know that you were married before. You were in a relationship before because you have a daughter.
That's right.
From another relationship.
Yeah.
And now that you're married to Monica, I guess I just am curious about how you were able to go there, to have relationships, to date. I imagine that high school and dating and all of that. I mean, I guess I'm trying to not be a voyeur, but to help other people who might be going through a time in high school where they're being bullied or where situations are coming up, and they want to know how you overcame.
Great people, support group. I can't say it enough. Everybody, I think the focus on bullying, in my opinion, this is my philosophy, first of all, has to be on the bully. There's too much focus on the person, where all somebody that's being bullied needs is somebody to support them. They need a team around them, and that's family and that's friends. And I had a wonderful one, and my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my stepsisters, my stepmother, my stepfather, everybody's been great. Special friends over the years, the Goodwin family. I've talked about them in previous interviews. They were like family growing up. They had 3 boys. Never once asked about my medical problem. Never once cared. We'd go to their cottage every weekend. That's why having a cottage now is pretty special, because that was a time where I'm away from all the bullying.
Yeah.
Can sort of manage my problem better. You're outside too, right? You're not in a confined spot. I love being outdoors, because if you have incontinence. And I'm not going to lie, it's always, right? I mean, it's flowing through me at all times. I wear protection. probably the poster boy for Depends. They should hire me to do their national commercial.
They really should. They really should.
I pop Imodium like they're Skittles, you know.
Why Imodium?
Just because it makes sure that the stool stays solid, right? Because if I don't have solid stool, that's when I get into trouble. And I mean, even to this day, I can tell you embarrassing stories, you know, within the last couple of years. But going back to it, it's that support group. And what I mean by focus on bullying is you often see kids that are the victims of bullying, and then they work on them. Mm-hmm. Like, what can we do for you? Mm-hmm. And you're going through depression. Maybe we should put you on medication and so forth. Well, they're not the problem. Mm-hmm. They don't need all the help. Who needs the help is the person that's bullying them. Yeah. And that's why my mom's focus of going after the bully. My mom and dad never sat down with me and said, you know, oh, poor you, and this is, you know, how you're going to fight back and so forth. No, they went to the bully and made them the problem instead of saying, well, you have a problem. I never felt like I had a problem.
Oh my gosh, and you didn't. And I love that they didn't.
It wasn't my fault.
Not at all. I wonder, though, if we even need to go one step further, and it's the parents of the bullies.
Yeah,
you know,
they have to recognize it.
Absolutely, right? And I wonder if that's where, you know, your mom wasn't always able to get those bullies to understand what they were doing because the parents didn't necessarily have the capacity to have the compassion and understanding.
Well, you look at your kids through different glasses than everybody else, right?
Sure. Yeah, I'm just so happy for you that you were able to have relationships and go through that in what I imagine to be just very, very challenging.
Well, high school dating was
brutal,
really brutal.
Mm-hmm. For anybody, it is, and so I can only imagine.
Yeah, I had girlfriends, but as soon as it got intimate, I found a way to break off, or I distanced myself from them, and they'd break up with me because of that distance. Yeah. I'd be myself, and then I'd get to that intimacy point, and then I changed who I was because I didn't want them to find out. So at that point in my life, I wasn't sharing with anybody. I had, you know, certain people that I shared. My best friend, Gary Fields, my first best friend ever.
I read what he wrote again in response to your post when you shared your message, and I mean, it brought me to tears. I couldn't believe just how powerful having a friend like that.
Yeah.
Would have been
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
First friend I ever had that I got to sleep over.
Oh wow. Amazing.
And tell him.
Yeah.
Like that's a great kid.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Grade 6, I met him. We ran into each other at Leslie Park High School. Literally ran into each other going around the corner. I was running to class and I hit him and our books went everywhere.
Oh my gosh, what a story.
I thought it was, you know, oh, here we go again. You know, that he was going to, you know, get mad, and he just started laughing. And, you know, we helped pick each other's books up, and he introduced himself to me. And just was able to tell him, you know, we'd go to movies together. I'd have an accident, and he would always walk behind me so that nobody saw.
That is a friend.
Call my mom or dad, or sometimes, you know, I mean, in those days, we were what we call free-range kids, right? So mom and dad might have been out for a motorcycle ride, and he'd walk all the way home with me, and he'd walk behind me. Yeah, he was amazing.
I'm so glad you had him in your life.
Talk
about smacking into your life. I mean, physically, literally, you know, figuratively.
Yeah.
Amazing. He was meant to be in your life.
For sure.
Oh, I'm so glad. Does he? Yeah. He doesn't live here in Ottawa, does he?
No, he lives in Toronto. I know he'd love to come back to Ottawa.
Oh my gosh.
But it's a matter of finding work. But we could not see each other for 5 years, and it would be like, you know, it'd be like an hour had gone by.
The best kind of friends.
Not 5 years, yeah.
You know it.
My only regret growing up is I've lost memories, childhood memories, because I would, you know, I had that mindset of, you know, okay, this is forgotten, and I'd erase my memory of an accident and that kind of incident.
Well, you were even kind of saying how the next day, like, your dad would bring you home and clean you up and everything we'd done, and then the next day it would just be like nothing had happened.
And I think what's happened is I've erased some good within those bad memories too. And it's frustrating because you try to look back and what did I do in elementary school? Like I don't, what were my good times in elementary school? I don't remember any good times. And I know I had lots. I mean, and right in school.
Yeah.
Like I had those memories at the cottage and, going to field trips with my parents all the time. I have so many of those great memories, but I have no memory of being in school from grades 1 to 5.
Like
much.
The learning? Like the schooling?
I can't name a teacher that I had.
Wow.
Madame Belmonte might be the only one that comes to mind. I can't remember great schoolyard fun, like playing and...
And do you feel that that's because you were so consumed with the medical condition that you were blocking out any of the other stuff?
I think so. I think I thought so much about it all the time. It took up so much of my time. It's just, okay, what am I going to do to avoid it? How am I going to, okay, where's the closest washroom? My stomach is grumbling. And I had so many conversations with myself that were just based on that.
Oh, for sure.
It's too bad. Because I know I had some good times.
Yeah,
I really do.
I'm sure. And I like that, I'm sure that even the energy and the feeling that you have about school, I mean, it's too bad you don't have the memories, but they're there.
Oh, yeah. And I know from grade 6 sort of onward, I certainly have excellent memories. But it's just unusual. Grade 1 to 5 is empty.
And when you talk about that you were so sort of fixated on how your stomach was feeling and all of that, how does that translate into your adult life now? I'm sure that planning is a part of your everyday experience.
Yeah, I still have those conversations, but not to the same extent. Yeah. It's more of a mature mind probably because of that. But I do a live television show. I'm knock on wood, wherever some happens to be. Yes. I've only had to leave the live show once. It was during a break, and thankfully, my former co-host, Catherine Marion, happened to be the guest co-host that day, and she knows about the medical problem, so I just sort of darted out of here and had to go and clean myself up and came right back in mid-segment, which was kind of funny. But, the guests have no idea what happened, and Catherine sort of just gives me that wink of, it's okay, buddy, I got your back.
I love that.
But it's, I take it as good karma, right? That it happened to be Catherine that day. If it happened to be someone I'd never worked with before or for the first time, what would have happened? I don't know. I go to a lot of events.
You go to a ton of events.
Yeah.
You are the MC for a ton of events. You volunteer every day of your life, it seems.
I love doing it.
I know, and I can tell, and your energy about it is amazing, and I just, again, applaud you, and I just think every single time you're out there and doing other things in the community, you're here on a live show every day, and you're dealing with this issue all the time. So I want to talk a little bit about shame and how shame showed up in your life. We talked a little bit about when you were a kid and being bullied. I imagine that it starts to develop then when you started to realize that you were not the same as other kids.
Yeah, certainly. To this day, shame comes into play. I've had accidents. I was at the Turkish embassy for a luncheon, had a major accident, so much so. And I can paint the picture. I mean, when I'm talking incontinent, it's not a little bit sometimes. If I have diarrhea, it means it's running down my leg, right? I don't have, my protection is very basic. I use toilet paper. I sort of form a pad in my underwear and use toilet paper just because it's readily available. I could certainly go to adult diapers and that kind of thing. And down the road, I'm sure I'll have to do that.
Why down the road?
Well, your body changes, right? As you get older, I imagine the incontinence isn't going to get better. It's probably going to get worse. So I'll probably have to go that route, just, having to lug around diapers, when you're going to events, and where am I going to put them? And you come out of the stall, first of all, you have to take off your entire pants, right? And your shoes and everything, and change into your next diaper. And then I come out of the stall, and here I am holding a diaper with other people around. Again, there's the word shame. I'm an adult. I don't want to walk around with a dirty diaper and have to put it in the garbage in front of other people.
Yeah.
When I have an accident, it tucked my pants into my socks so that it doesn't, run all over the place, and jump in my car. I can't tell you how many times I've had to clean the bloody seat in my car.
Yeah.
And you go home and you shower and you change, and I was telling you that story about the Turkish embassy when it happened. I was upset, like I went to bed and I cried. I was 44 years old and I was bawling like a baby. My wife came home and I was in bed crying. And, what happened? I explained. And again, those people would understand. I don't know why. I don't know why we don't think they will. Mm-hmm. Because I think all of them, eventually found out, and they were all very understanding. But there's just something in the back of our minds, no matter what our shame is or our situation is, we just, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed, and all these alone. People are gonna laugh at me and point at me.
No one will understand.
Yeah.
And it's not the way it happens. It really isn't. I mean, I think we all have shame. We've all been embarrassed.
Yeah.
Those are common feelings that we all have, but just in a different form. Mm-hmm. Depending on what our situation is. Yeah. So you're emotional today, and I'm wondering if the shame is still right here, if it's still right next to you, and even though you've worked through it and you've shared your story and I've shared my story, but I still deal with some of the shame that I have for... Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's shame still, because, I told you off camera that I've never been shy to tell people about my medical problem. I just never made it public. Yeah. And the reason I probably didn't make it public is because, now when I'm in a room full of people and I have an accident and they smell something, they know it's me. Yeah. They know. That's hard. Mm-hmm. Right? Is people don't look around anymore, won't look around anymore, and wonder, I wonder who that is. Mm-hmm. They'll know it's me. But I thought it was important. I don't know. It was just the timing. Jackie from the Canadian Incontinence Foundation came on the show. That it was just happenstance. She came with a local company that Rip and Go, they're called, with bedding that you just rip and put back on. It's Velcro. It's genius. I wish I had it when I was a kid. My mom would have loved it.
Fantastic. Do you have it now?
I don't have it now, but I should get it.
That's fantastic.
And they came on the show with Jackie, and because they're both sort of promoting the same message. Jackie more saying, there's 3.5 million people in Canada that suffer from incontinence, urinary incontinence. I'm fecal incontinence. We don't know what the numbers are for fecal incontinence because people are reluctant to obviously share. I don't know anybody else besides myself that has fecal incontinence.
Talk about shame.
I've never met anybody.
No.
There's no
I had never
support
heard of it.
Group.
Yeah, I had never heard of it until reading your story. So what can we do? What would you like for us to know, for people that don't suffer from fecal incontinence? How can we do better? Now that we know better, how can we do better?
Well, that's a good question. I wish I had. I'll tell you one thing that's frustrating for anybody that suffers from any kind of incontinence is that business owners, restaurants, retail, no matter what it happens to be, the customers only signs. Well, for me, that's what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. Right? I know why they do it. I know why they have it on there, because they don't want, it becoming a public washroom. I'd almost like to see a campaign that those that have incontinence, maybe they have a bracelet that they wear, and the restaurant puts a sticker in their window, or the retail store puts a sticker in their window that says, we're incontinent friendly.
Yes.
Come on in if you have to go.
Yes.
Because it might actually be great for their business too, because when you open that door and you allow somebody to come in, no questions asked, you go to the grocery store, I need to get a key to get into the public washroom. Mm-hmm. I don't have time to ask the manager for a key, and I've been there.
And even if you'll buy something after, I mean, you're just saying we just need to be able to go in there and go, and then if you require me to buy a bottle of water, I'll do that. But
I just want no questions asked. I don't want to beg to use your washroom. I just need to use your washroom. I'll keep it clean. I'm very good at this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I know how to keep things clean, and I am like, using the word relentless. Nobody showers more than me. I mean, you can ask my wife. Oh my God, it probably, we spend more money on water than any other household in the city. Mm-hmm. I shower like every morning, no doubt. And oftentimes we'll have a shower at night as well. But yeah, I just want, just no questions asked. I don't want to beg to use a washroom.
And just for some more understanding, I think. Some more compassion. I think in general in the world, I think anyone that, is able to come out and share a story like you've done, I mean, it really just shows me that everyone's got something.
Oh, yeah, and just be nice to people.
Yeah.
Like, just be kind. It's such an easy thing to do, and I don't know why people struggle with it. It's easy to be nice to people, My mom and dad, the first thing they taught us was manners and be nice to people. Like, no matter the situation, don't get mad. You get cut off on the road. They didn't mean to cut you off, probably. They didn't see you. So don't give them the finger and lean on the horn, and not to say I haven't done it.
Yeah.
But, sometimes I do stop, and I remember what my mom, said to me is, just, it's no big deal. They made a mistake, and I don't think they meant to do that. So don't lean on your horn and give them the finger. Just, okay, they made a mistake.
And I think I remember it was, I believe it was Eckhart Tolle who said, when we are honking our horn, and we're in that moment and we're yelling and we're screaming and that car is long gone.
Oh, yeah.
That dude doesn't know about what you're doing. He's not caring that you're angry, and that only person that's getting hurt is yourself.
Well, look at what we do, too. It happens, we come to work and we tell every single person we run into what happened on the road.
Yeah.
So we take that negative moment and we extend that negative moment into hours of our day, when we could have just said, okay, cut me off. I'm not going to tell anyone at work. The incident is over.
Send them some love, and hopefully they can go off and have a better day. And,
exactly.
And I think that's so powerful, because I agree with you. I think it's all about just being grateful for each moment that we have, not wasting the moments on stupid, petty stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm just so happy to be with you here today, because I feel so much that you don't waste a single moment.
No, I certainly take advantage of every single minute of every day. I honestly believe in that. We got lots of time to sleep when we're dead.
I'd like to end on asking a question.
Okay.
What would you say to your 13-year-old self?
Whew. What would I say? I don't think I'd change anything. I'd say, I think, good job. Nothing wrong with being proud of, yourself.
And you should
I'd say to him that I was proud of him, I think, for sure.
I was going to say, you should be very proud of yourself. I think when you're talking about your dad, and that there's not a single person who doesn't like your dad, I don't think there's a single person that doesn't like Derick Fage.
Well, I don't know about that. I will say this, is remember your heroes in life. I could name all of them. I could sit here and name every single one of them.
Go for it. Tell us.
Gary Fields, Elena Katz, Chris, Dave, and Roger Rolston, Sean Barrett, Darcy Green, of course my mom, my dad, the Goodwin family, Eric and Nancy, and Dave and Glenn and Tom, John Milkey, who used to walk to school with me and had no idea I had a problem, had no idea he was protecting me at the time. And I didn't say anything to him, because the less people that knew, the better. Heather Young, also in elementary school. A lot of girls came to my aid.
Yeah.
Jennifer Burke.
The caretakers.
You're getting picked on, you're getting beaten up in the schoolyard, and it was the girls that always came to my defense. And I'm forever grateful for them, because they always stepped up. And I've always had better relationship with girls than I did boys growing up, and I think that's why. That really resonated with me.
They didn't want to put up with it. They wouldn't let you take that kind of abuse.
Yeah. And then years later you tell them, that you were a hero, and they really? What did I do? Like, they don't even realize it. So that's why I think it's important to make sure you tell the people that helped you, because they don't know, and it's good to recognize them.
I love that. Thank you so much, Derick.
You're welcome.
I thought that was an awesome conversation. I enjoyed it so much. I learned so much about this man that I just see on TV every day. It's a story of redemption. It's really a story of gratitude. It's a story of relentlessly, I love that word, going after your goals in life and not letting anything stop you. I mean, if Derick can do it, dealing with a medical condition like he has, then any of us can do it, you know? And I think that's the idea, is that we all have things that we're ashamed of and not proud of, things that have humiliated us, but we are bigger than that. And if you've got a story that is, you know, that you're suffocating on, that's inside of you, that you don't want to share because you feel like no one will understand, I encourage you to even just tell one person, someone that will love you no matter what, and get it off your chest. You will feel 1,000 times lighter. I will tell you that part of the reason why I shared my story is because I read Derick's on Facebook, and I couldn't believe that he was sharing this story with everybody. But the outpouring of love that he got, and just even in my own reaction to his story that I sent to him, I realized we need that. We need more connection. We need to know that we are not alone. And so that is why I wanted to sit down with Derick today. So again, I hope you enjoyed it. Follow Derick on social media, connect with him, watch him on Rogers Daytime, and I want you to love your life one bite at a time.
Recognizes me.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh my God, and look who's here from Daytime on Rogers TV. It's Derick Fage."
Nope.
Like Rod and I are like, my brother and I are like, yeah, thank you, Faggy brothers, right over here.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, it was funny.
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
what is the problem
What
with
is it-
Fage?
well-
And then they